Alright guys, you got your boy Stingren here today, and today we're back with some more reverse 1999 content, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new characters that are going to be revealed with the collab as part of my three-way segment into making these videos. I wanted to break them down so that way I didn't want to give you guys like an hour-long plus video talking about everything, my thoughts, speculations, and everything, etc. So I'm going to talk about the characters in this part of the video, and then in the next video, I will be talking about the Euphorias this time around, as in the ones that got revealed for the AC collab patch. Alright, so the first character that is going to be revealed is going to be Ezio. He's going to be the first character that's going to be on the collab. This is what his skins look like. Here's his I1, his I2, and his illusion art. I do love the I2 skin a lot. It just has a lot of cool colors. Honestly, I'm a sucker for a guy that has anything black on him. And, you know, Ezio's a pretty cool character, so, I mean, it is what it is on that one. But that is his skins, if you guys wanted to know that. Let's go over to his assassin skills. So, Work in the Dark is his first assassin skill. It is just a one-target attack that deals assassination. And assassination is, the attack of the applied attack basically gets increased damage based on how much more critical technique you have over the attacker. So, my one thing is that I can already see this being really good because they're probably going to give him a lot of critical technique, and he's also a star Aphelios character. Now, if you guys don't know what that means, typically outside of like Charlie, most star characters usually get a pretty good Aphelios level. A pretty good crit technique. So it's very likely that he's gonna reach a pretty high level of crit technique once he's like I3 and everything. So I don't really have too much of a worry to say that his crit technique is going to be like low or something. You know, he's not going to be like the low amounts of other things. So I can definitely see that this is going to be very good for him to otherwise deal just additional final damage to the enemy. So that's really nice. His assassin skill 2, which is called Serve the Light. It is a self-counter attack that inflicts the Eyes Caught status on the enemy with the highest queued up attack type incantations. Ezio then counters with the he then enters with the fighting experience status. I don't know why I can't get that out there today. And fighting experience is after an ally is attacked, Ezio riposte with a counter kill, okay? Which is a riposte based attack that deals reality damage, and that also counts as assassination. So again, focusing on the assassination gimmick, as I mentioned before, assassination is kind of the core gimmick between the Assassin's Creed characters. You get this from both him, Kassandra, and Alexios, so they're all gonna have this type of gimmick, so that's the thing. Anyway, his ultimate, which is called the Branding of Faith, it is a one target attack that you can use either use Arrow of Death or Edge of Death multiple times, and then you finally ended up with a Death Beyond Kind. So let's go ahead and talk about what this attack does. So Arrow or Edge of Faith, which again, it doesn't really matter which one you do because they're both primarily the same. It's a one target attack that deals reality damage. If the target's current HP is below or above a certain amount, deals additional reality damage. So I assume one is for below and one is for above certain thresholds, which means one gets stronger as you one gets stronger the higher the HP, one gets stronger the lower. So again, pretty nice. This attack also counts as an assassination, which again, she's gonna get that multiplier boost from the crit technique. And then Death Be Not Unkind, which is a one target attack that deals reality damage. This attack also counts as an assassination. Now, from what I have to say about the ult is, while we look at the animation, the ult really much does remind me of something like Natika. Natika from 2.8 on the CN server has this type of gimmick where when she pops her ultimate, she can cast a bunch of small attacks. Well, they're not really small, they hit really hard. But she can cast a bunch of attacks based on the Blood Teeth level, and then she ends it off with one big final attack. So that's one really good way to really look at it. But again, for what it's worth, this is really strong for an attack. Now, him being purely single target, I don't know if that's going to ultimately hurt him in the long run, because single target in Reverse 1999 is either hit or miss. We still have good ST DPSers, so don't get me wrong. But of course, AoE tends to get highlighted more because of just how content is just shifted. But for what it's worth, it really just depends on how much Ezio himself is doing in terms of his DPS, in terms of his team setups and all that stuff. So yeah, but I have no faith that he's not gonna at least be a potential top tier unit, considering that he's a collab character. Alright, so let's go over to his weapons. Now, this is a unique gimmick. So, based off of the story synopsis, of course, Leonardo da Vinci, who gives him weapons and helps him with this quest and everything, you have a very similar gimmick to that, where you can get a primary and a secondary. And the really cool thing about this is that the primary and the secondary have differentiating effects based off what the weapon is being paired to. For example, if I use the Velatian Falchion, which I apologize, I said that wrong, selecting one of these three weapons will give you different effects, but if I use this one, then the effect then changes. So that's really, really cool. So your secondary effect passives are based off of the first weapon passives. So let's go ahead and let's start talking about the first of the main weapons first. Now, we won't talk about the additional bonuses that comes up at the top, but the Venetian Falchion is Ezio's ultimates now count as extra actions. Work in the dark now inflicts Assassin's Mark on that target hit, and then when you get the Channel Syncodia, you get, when attacking, you get access critical rate into critical damage. That's very, very, very strong. That's a very, very powerful effect. It's very great because him being a star character, he's actually gonna, I mean, him having a high crit technique, which he's gonna have a good crit ratio. I feel like he's gonna have like a bare minimum, maybe like a 70 to 80% crit rate, and then, you know, a fair amount of critical damage, maybe 160, 170 range, and then with you know, your applied buffers of choice, which could be like Mercuria, Vila, maybe, you know, the standard crit rate, crit damage buffers, or even Lapera for potential ultimate spam. You can very well easily just achieve high critical overflow value because of how he works. But yeah, so let's talk about what the next effect, the Butcher Knife. So the Butcher Knife is after an ally takes an action, if an enemy target dies, Ezio casts Work in the Dark on the enemy with the lowest HP damage. So this gives them access to follow up, which is really nice. So basically, if you kill something, very similar to Lucy, if you remember Lucy from patch 1.9, every time something gets killed, she can trigger a follow up based on a certain amount of actions. So that means she can cast it either 1 to 2 times total a turn, depending on what ends up happening. Of course, if you get into higher investments, you can cast it up to 4 times max. It doesn't say here that it looks like there's a direct cap. So as long as you're actively killing something per turn, he can cast the Work in the Dark effect maybe every single time, which of course is nice. Next up is the Sultan's Knife. Serve the Light, which is the counterattack, now inflicts Eyes Caught on all enemies, and both fighting experience and Eyes Caught are now applied with extended durations. Okay, so this is going to really help them be more of a riposte DPS too, because this is going to give them more chances for multiple. It is going to give him more chances to just continuously stack. Now, I think my mindset is telling me probably on base, it's probably 1 turn durations for his buff. And then with this effect, they probably jump up to 2 turns. Eyes Caught probably might be maybe like 1 to 3 turns. And then of course with the extended effect, it may be even higher. So that's probably what I'm thinking, just off the base. But he at least does have potential to kind of work as a riposte DPS. So that's pretty cool. So if you want my honest opinion, he looks like he can work in follow-up and riposte just off these 2 effects alone, which is pretty nice. Because you can run riposte and give him Babel as support, because she does buff riposte damage, so that's really cool. And then it also gives him access to a sustain too, so that can also be helpful. So there's a few synergies just out of the game. Of course, you have the follow-up, which of course there's a lot of units that support with follow-up. You know, you already have pretty much most of the generic supports who can work with the follow-up team, so that's already really good. Let's talk about the next weapon, which is called the Condottiero Warhammer, which does the following. During Ezio's ultimate, each time Arrow of Faith or Edge of Faith is cast, grants a damage boost to the subsequent assassin attacks during that ultimate. After another ally casts the ultimate, Ezio gains Eagle's guidance and synchronization. And of course, when you give him the Channel Syncodia, he gets synchronization. Now, synchronization is actually his ultimate. It's again similar to like other characters like Natika, who follow a special way of Moxie as opposed to the normal amount. Where Natika gains faith instead of Moxie, this synchronization will basically be his version of gaining that effect as opposed to Moxie. So that's what that's about. Next up will be the Butcher Knife, which when casting an ultimate, if the attack has no other allies, grants a damaged up bonus for the attack and gains synchronization for after the ultimate. Okay, so a good way to recover more synchronization to get back into an ult. And let's see, during the casting of Ezio's ultimate, each time arrow of the edge of it is cast, grants a damage boost. Okay, yeah, so this bottom part stays. This just this top part that gets changed. Okay, so that's really nice. It does help his single target. It does help his single target preference more. This also does help if you're really looking to nuke down a boss that has like one. If it's just like the one big target. If you have a one big target boss, then going Butcher Knife plus Conductor or Warhammer it sounds absolutely fine because it's a damaged up bonus, and of course it helps him loop back into the ultimate if you want to go down this path. I mean, from what this looks like, this also helps him support ultimate might teams too. So he could go into a team with Melania, himself, and then just another support, maybe another crit buffer, and you know, a sustain like for Tutu or something. So yeah, could potentially be a thing there, but that's really fine. And then the Sultan's Knife is after an ally takes an action and if the enemy target dies, he would gain synchronization effect. Okay, so it's just synchronization bonus after someone dies. So that's fine. That's not nothing crazy. It's just extra synchronization. Again, help funneling him get to his ultimate a little bit quicker. So yeah, but it doesn't provide any damage bonuses or anything. This one just straight up gives you synchronization. This one gives you damaged up bonus if you're attacking into one big body and there's no other bosses that's there. And then this one gives you synchronization if you kill things. So at least there's applicable uses for each. So I will say that it's at least there's at least good uses for each. I think the best one out of this was probably this in Butcher Knife because the damage delta bonus, but again it's very specific towards you needing a single target. I think it's either this or this will probably be the main options if you want to go down the Condotero Warhammer route. That's if you want to go there. I think it's either you go 2 or 1. I'm not too sure about 3. Because while yeah, I mean this could be good if you have a stage that has a lot of enemies that spawn or infinitely respawning enemies or something, then that could be a reason to use 3. But I think 2 and 1 are just the more usable options just in most general cases. So yeah. Let's go and talk about the next weapon, and that's going to be the Captain's Sword. The Captain's Sword is when attacking, inflict poison on the target. Hit when attacking, add additional Genesis damage based on the number of poison stacks to that target. The added Genesis damage is further increased by a certain poison instance threshold. The effect of the assassination changes from final damage to boosting Genesis damage by this attack. Okay, so that means he can now be ran in poison teams now. So we have him up to already like 4 different archetypes just out of the gate, which is insane. We have him for follow-up, we have him for riposte, we have him for ultimate might, and now we have him for poison. 4 different archetypes in a single unit is absolutely bonkers, bruh. But anyway, alright, so when combined with the channel Cinquandia, this gives when attacking, inflict additional instances of poison on the target hit. So that gives him more instances of being able to poison. I mean, if you pair him with Tuesday, which will probably be his preferred combo for this particular strategy, then it does seem to be the more preferred way to do this. But yeah, I think Tuesday will probably be it, but this probably seems like the way you'd go if you're not running him with Tuesday, probably. All right, this one is with the Butcher Knife. When attacking, if the target has no allies, inflict additional instances stacks of poison. Not very good. Well, it's not very good because this only gets effect if again you're facing one big boss enemy, which is again the preferred way for Butcher Knife. It seems to be if it's just your team versus the one big body, which is where this will work out the most. But if you really wanted to spread or put up more instances, literally the channel Cinquandia does that just instantly. So yeah, Butcher Knife wouldn't be that good. Alright, so as the enemy target dies, that enemy's instances of poison are inherited by the enemy allies. This is actually a pretty good one too, because if you are using him with Tuesday, chances are they're gonna die with those poison stacks still intact because of all that extra Genesis damage that they're taking. And remember, the poison doesn't expire while Tuesday's ult is active. So you can basically just spread all that poison when they die from the cast of multiple poison to another enemy, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. So I do think 1 and 3 are probably your best answers to this type of route, but that's pretty good. But my overall opinion about his weapon system, I like it a lot. I love this a lot. Being able to support 4 different archetypes at once sounds kind of bonkers, dude. Like, I feel like that's probably instant S+ tier just off the merit of that, because he seems to fit into these archetypes and he fits into them pretty well. Now, of course, we haven't seen the modifiers, portrait boost, or anything like that, but that's really good just out of the gate. Out of the gate, that sounds promising, and I like that. Anyway, Moxie is replaced with synchronization instead. At the start of the round, if Ezio's synchronization is at 100%, he will cast ultimate immediately. Synchronization can be gained from attacking with basic incantation that trigger assassination and through various other means. Okay, so if he's able to get synchronization off of his teammates, which I'm assuming is also okay, this is going to be a good way to battery his ult. But yeah, pretty good. Anyway, so let's take a look at his inheritances. When being attacked while in the fighting experience status, take less damage from that attack. If the attacker has the eyes caught status, take even less damage from that attack. So that second path I was talking about earlier, with him being kind of being a kind of like a riposte DPS, gets better with this type of upgrade from his inside one, because this gives him sustainability. Like, this gives him sustain. Like, if you're already gonna run him with like Babel and then like maybe like Fatutu as well, just for healing and support, I mean, he gets quite a bit off this. He gets quite a bit, and I like that. I like that a lot. All right. When injured in battle, he gets a straight up crit damage increase. Good. We like our crit damage increase. And I3, when being attacked, if Ezio's at low HP, he removes Eyes Call from all enemies and enters a Shadow Stalk status. Whenever enemy triggers an assassination, Ezio gains a stack of Apprentice Assassin. Okay. If he's on low HP, I mean, it really just depends on how much damage he ends up taking and how much he's being reduced by, you know? Because, I mean, with this type of combination with the proper support and a proper sustain, you probably won't be seeing too much of the I3 unless you take a really heavy nuke attack or something. But if he's on the riposte route and maybe with like potential low HP teams, maybe that could be a 5th archetype he could probably work in, which, Jesus Christ, maybe he can do Blood Teeth, maybe, who knows. But anyway, yeah, interesting. It's very interesting, very interesting. All right, so Eyes Caught. Ezio draws the enemy's attention. When the team receives certain attacks, those attacks always target Ezio with priority. Pretty good. So that means if he's able to go the second route where he puts Eyes Caught on everyone, then he can pretty much just have everyone just straight up attack him. It's a straight up taunt. That's really good. Apprentice Assassin, with enough stacks, converts into Master Assassin status. If there are other characters with the assassination role label in the team, Ezio grants Master Assassin to those characters that have reduced potency, and Master Assassin enhances the effects of assassination, which means you'll probably get more final damage boost based off of your crit technique, which again is pretty darn good. But that is going to be Ezio, and for what it's worth, I think he's a fantastic character. Being able to fit into basically 4 full archetypes is kinda stupid. I would really have to see how he works in all of these. I will be testing the day he comes out and kind of seeing what I want to cook up with his archetypes and stuff. But yeah. Next up we have is Kassandra. She is the second character that is going to be coming on the second half of the collab. So this is what her skins look like. So I1, I2, and of course the illusion art. I do love both of her skins this time around. I love this one because it has my favorite color. Again, if you know me, red's my favorite color, and if I see anything red, it's already a want for me. And then her second one with the more Amazon warrior look, It looks beautiful. I think it looks really nice. Let's talk about her skills. So her skill 1 is called Fury of Ares. It's a mass attack that deals reality damage to 2 enemies and gains adrenaline for self. And Advent of Artemis is a 1 target attack that deals lethal injury on the target hit. And lethal injury is when the holder of the status is attacked, that attack triggers assassination. When the holder of the status is attacked by an assassination, the effects of the assassination is also increased. Okay, so already looking out of the gate as an assassination support, we already appreciate that. And her ultimate, which is a 1 target attack that deals reality damage, this attack also counts as assassination. Let's take a look at the ultimate. Honestly, that animation looked pretty dope. That was a pretty good looking animation. Pretty dope, pretty dope. I love the whole throwing and then teleporting to the dagger thing. That's kind of the Sasuke treatment. My boy, my girl Kassandra over becoming Sasuke. Nice. Oh, she uses her Sharingan. Nice. Anyway, let's talk about her ability board. So she has a unique gimmick similarly to Ezio's, and this is called the ability board, where based off of her insight level, she can gain 3 of these counters, and you can choose to invest in these 3 paths in any which way you want. So basically, you can have any one of these 3 passes active at one time, which is pretty nice. So let's talk about the Hunter. The Hunter is Advent of Artemis gets upgraded to lethal injury, and when entering the battle, she gains Way of Artemis. Way of Artemis is a force field that gives you crit damage increase just out of the gate. Very nice, very strong, and it's straight up just all allies crit damage boost. We take those. And Fury of Ares, Advent of Artemis, and Rain of Destruction inflict an additional lethal injury. Way of Ares, Way of Artemis, and Way of Nyx. Whenever an ally triggers an assassination, they will deal additional reality damage. Again, supporting that assassination archetype. We like those. And Sparta Kick, Rain of Destruction, and Rush Assassination inflict an additional lethal injury. Way of Artemis Enhancement, which is the field effect, now grants critical rate to all allies as well. So now she has crit rate, crit damage, and of course additional reality damage. So that's really good. That's a really good Hunter effect. I think this is easily worth putting 3 into your spec build already just out of the gate. So that's really good. It's good enough to make her a generic support too, because she's gonna be buffing both crit rate, crit damage. She doesn't necessarily have to worry about being tied to assassination teams, because you can still buff up crit rate, crit damage. So pretty good. All right, so the Warrior is the next one. So let's see what this one does. So gains an extra action damage increase. Okay. And whenever entering the battle, she gains the Way of Ares. Way of Ares is, again, a force field that gives everybody a straight up damage bonus increase. That's really good. And let's talk about Sparta. Sparta Kick now inflicts Kick Gash. Rain of Destruction now inflicts Arrow Gash. And Rush Assassination now inflicts Assassination Gash. And whenever the attacker is attacked, that target takes additional Genesis damage. Okay, so extra bit of Genesis damage, a little bit of splash damage effect because of the gash. It's kind of similar to like the bleed status, kind of in a way where you're attacked into something and you're bleeding, so that means you start to bleed more. So, okay, so that's effectively kind of like a bleed type of thing. And let's see. For each type of gash on an enemy target, cast a Sparta Kick on that target. And Way of Ares enhancement is Incantation Might to all allies. Okay, so another buff for Incantation Might DPSs too. This could be really good for certain other compositions too. I'm really thinking like Lucy comps, maybe on you for support. I mean, you'd want crit rate, crit damage more if you're going Red Talent, but if you're going just general comfort, then you could go Warrior too. There's some good combinations there, don't get me wrong, good combinations. Alright, Assassin is going to give you what? This one gives you a straight up attack increase, okay. And then when casting Fury of Ares, Advent of Artemis, these attacks are now counted as assassination. And Eagle's Bear Instinct no longer generates Sparta Kick or Rain of Destruction. And let's see, Rust Assassination gets an added effect. After scoring a critical hit, you can get Preparation Kassandra itself. At least one new round generates one precast incantation of Rust Assassination. When an ally triggers Assassination or casts an ultimate, grant adrenaline to self. And the Way of the Nyx is going to give you penetration rate to all allies. Attack and pen rate is pretty disgusting. Pen rate too? Oh man, she's gonna get everyone pen rate. Now I don't think it's gonna be like a big amount. I think maybe it's gonna be like maybe 20, maybe 30% pen rate, which is still strong. That's still effectively ignoring 30% of the defense of the enemy. So I think that that's potential for her to be considered as a really good support. It looks like she has standard crit support, pen rate support, and Genesis support. So there's 3 different support types she can definitely fit into. But yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Her insights, let's talk about her insights. So Moxie is replaced with Adrenaline instead, very similar to Ezio's, where the default way is replaced with something else. When reaching a certain adrenaline threshold, generate incantations with Sparta Kick, Rain of Destruction, or Rust Assassination, okay, which are the special skills that were highlighted in her ability board. When entering a battle, at the start of the round, gains adrenaline. When entering the battle, she gains a damage dealt increase. After an ally attacks and triggers Assassination, Kassandra gains Guidance of the 3 Gods. And if there are other characters with the Assassination role label on the team, Kassandra also gains additional guidance from the 3 Gods. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, so Sparta Kick is a 1-target attack that deals reality damage that can also daze the target. Okay, a little bit of control, we like that. Rain of Destruction is the mass attack that deals reality damage to all enemies. Okay, and Guidance of the 3 Gods improves the effects of Way of Ares, Way of Artemis, or Way of Nyx. So there's going to be additional bonuses that comes off of the effect, or is just going to scale the effects to make them stronger when the assassination is triggered. So her and Ezio will obviously be the preferred combination just out of the gate, just looking at this alone. So yeah, pretty nice. I think Kassandra has the potential to be a really good character. I mean, support wise, she looks to be really good. I mean, I don't think none of these characters are missing so far. None of them are missing to me. Like they seem all really good. So let's go ahead and go over to the last character, and this is going to be Alexios. Alexios is actually going to be given out for free, and we can get him to P5 for free. So just simply log into the game when the second part of the collab does come out, and we can get this masked strong man here. And those are his skins. Let's check out his skills. Alright, so Stronger than Ares. It's a 1-target attack that deals rally damage or grants adrenaline for himself, which is similar to the last unit we just talked about. Better than Apollo. Okay, bro, you gotta calm down. It's a master that deals rally damage to 2 enemies. If this attack scores a critical hit, you get adrenaline for yourself. Okay, so you definitely want to spec him into crit. And Son of Fear. It's a mass attack that deals rally damage to all enemies, gains Blood of Ezio for self, and its attack also counts as an assassination. Blood of Ezio basically means Son of Fear will deal additional reality damage. So okay, this is the old animation. Okay, nothing too crazy about that animation, just, you know, big damage basically. But again, okay, really nice. Let's take a look at his insights. Okay, so we already know that he's going to be replaced with adrenaline. At the start of the round, gains adrenaline, and he gets a damage dealt increase similarly to the last unit we just talked about yet again. And insight 3 is after an ally attacks and triggers assassination, Alexios will gain adrenaline. Okay, nice. And if the other character with the assassination role label on the team, Alexios has a chance to cast his ultimate. Okay, so that does make sense now with this ult buff that he gets himself, which improves his, you know, the son of Ezio, because that means if you run him with an assassination based team, then you have the likelihood of being able to trigger his ult more than once. We have to see the exact amount, because this kind of seems like a Nor situation, but we have to see how many times he can re-trigger the ult, or what is the exact chance, you know what I mean? Like if it's like 30% per assassination cast. You can pretty much get like 1 to 2 ults a turn if you're using him with both Ezio and Kassandra, considering that they're also assassination based characters. So really nice. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna be it for the Assassin's Creed character stuff. I do think that all 3 of them are fantastic units. They are very, very strong. So what do you guys think in the comment section below? As always, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe. As always, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.